The billionaire stepped out of the black armored SUV with a woman hanging onto his arm, her diamond heels clicking against the rain-soaked pavement, while camera flashes exploded across the hospital entrance. Every nurse near the glass doors froze. Every security guard straightened instantly. Because everyone in the city knew Adrian Vale. The cold-blooded CEO worth billions. The man who bought companies the same way ordinary people bought coffee. And tonight the tabloids were already screaming his newest scandal across every screen in the country. Billionaire arrives at hospital with Mistress while pregnant wife fights for her life upstairs. But nobody knew the real reason Adrian's face looked like death itself. And nobody noticed the blood on his sleeve. The woman beside him smiled smugly at the cameras, squeezing closer against him. Vanessa Cole loved attention more than oxygen. "Baby," she whispered loud enough for reporters to hear. "Let's hurry. I hate hospitals." Adrian didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the emergency entrance where doctors were running in chaos. Because 10 minutes earlier, his wife had called him crying. And then the line went dead with a scream. "Mr. Vale!" a reporter shouted. "Is it true your wife attempted suicide after discovering your affair?" Another reporter shoved a microphone forward. "Did you abandon your pregnant wife for your mistress?" Vanessa rolled her eyes dramatically. "People are so obsessed with us." But Adrian suddenly grabbed her wrist so hard she gasped. "Shut up." The words came out like pure ice. For the first time all night, fear flickered across Vanessa's face. Then Adrian stormed through the hospital doors. The lobby exploded into panic instantly. Doctors rushed toward him. "Mr. Vale." "Where is she?" "She's in surgery." "What happened?" The doctor hesitated. And that hesitation nearly got him killed. Adrian slammed the man against the wall so violently nearby nurses screamed. "What happened to my wife?" The doctor stuttered, terrified. As she collapsed after severe stress complications, there was bleeding, the baby's heartbeat dropped. Adrian released him slowly. For one horrifying second, the billionaire looked like he might collapse too. His pregnant wife, Elena Vale, had always been fragile physically. Not weak emotionally, never that. Elena had survived poverty, humiliation, and years of vicious attacks from the elite families that mocked her for marrying Adrian. But her body had struggled during pregnancy from the beginning. And today had destroyed her. Because today she learned Adrian supposedly had another woman. Vanessa finally entered the lobby, annoyed. "Seriously? You're acting like somebody died." The entire hallway went silent. Adrian turned toward her so slowly it terrified everyone watching. "What did you say?" Vanessa crossed her arms. "You brought me here, remember? Don't start pretending to care about your wife now." The slap echoed through the entire hospital. Vanessa crashed sideways against the reception desk in complete shock. Every reporter outside began hammering cameras against the glass trying to capture what happened. Adrian's voice came out low and murderous. "You stupid woman, if anything happens to Elena." Vanessa stared at him, horrified. "Why you hit me?" Adrian stepped closer. And suddenly everyone understood why billionaires feared him more than governments. "I told you this arrangement was fake." Vanessa's face turned pale. "I told you were only bait." A nurse nearby accidentally dropped a tray. Because now the truth was starting to appear. 3 months earlier, Adrian discovered someone inside his company was stealing billions through hidden offshore accounts. Every trail led toward his business partner Marcus Whitmore. But Marcus was smart. Untouchable. Careful. Until Adrian created a distraction. The fake affair. Vanessa was never his lover. She was an actress Marcus unknowingly connected himself to through secret payments. Adrian used her to lure Marcus into exposing the financial network. But Elena wasn't supposed to find out. And Adrian had hidden the truth from her because Marcus had threatened to kill her if Adrian involved the police too early. So Adrian played the villain. Day after day. Pretending to betray the only woman he ever loved. Until tonight. Vanessa slowly stood, touching her bleeding lip. "You used me?" Adrian's eyes remained locked on the operating room doors. You were paid. But the media. You wanted fame. You said nobody would get hurt. Adrian finally looked at her. And she stepped backward instantly. Because there was something terrifying inside his eyes now. She collapsed because of you. Vanessa shook her head rapidly. No, she was emotional already. Get out. Adrian. Before I ruin your life completely. Security moved toward Vanessa immediately. But before they reached her, a furious voice exploded through the hallway. You think you can threaten her? Marcus Whitmore appeared surrounded by lawyers and private security. The atmosphere changed instantly. Marcus smiled calmly while adjusting his expensive cufflinks. Hospitals really bring out emotions, don't they? Adrian's jaw tightened. Marcus looked toward the operating room dramatically. Poor Elena. Such a sensitive little thing. The next 5 seconds happened so fast nobody could stop it. Adrian crossed the hallway and punched Marcus so hard blood sprayed across the white floor. Screams erupted everywhere. Marcus stumbled backward into chairs while bodyguards rushed forward. But Adrian was unstoppable. Years of rage exploded at once. Punch after punch slammed into Marcus while nurses cried for security. You threatened my wife. Another punch. You sent people to follow her. Another punch. You touched my family. Marcus spat blood and laughed insanely. And look what happened anyway. That sentence stopped everything. Adrian froze. Marcus grinned through broken teeth. You lied to your wife for months, and now she hates you before she dies. Silence. Pure horrible silence. Then the operating room doors opened. Every person turned instantly. A doctor stepped out removing bloody gloves. Adrian moved first. My wife. The doctor's expression darkened. The baby survived. Adrian nearly collapsed in relief. But then the doctor continued. Your wife lost too much blood. She regained consciousness briefly. Take me to her. The doctor hesitated again. And Adrian's face drained of color. What? She refuses to see you. It felt like somebody stabbed him directly through the chest. Marcus laughed weakly from the floor. Told you. Adrian ignored him completely. Please, he whispered to the doctor. I just need to know she's alive. The doctor nodded slowly. She's alive. But emotionally, she's devastated. Adrian closed his eyes. Because Elena never cried loudly. She never screamed. When she was hurt deeply enough, she simply went silent. And that terrified him more than death. Hours passed. The hospital became a media war zone outside while storms crashed against the city skyline. Marcus was arrested after federal agents arrived with evidence Adrian secretly gathered for months. Vanessa disappeared with lawyers before dawn. Reporters screamed endless questions. But Adrian never left the hallway outside Elena's room. Not once. At 3:17 a.m., the door finally opened. An older nurse stepped out softly. Mr. Vale. Adrian stood instantly. She's awake again. He swallowed hard. Can I see her? The nurse sighed. Only briefly. For the first time in years, Adrian Vale looked afraid. Actually afraid. He walked into the dim hospital room slowly. And there she was. Elena lay pale against white sheets, one trembling hand resting protectively over her stomach. Bruises marked her arms from needles. Her lips had lost color. But her eyes. Those eyes destroyed him. Because they looked at him like he was a stranger. Adrian approached carefully. Lena! Her voice came out weak. Don't. That single word shattered him worse than any scream could. He stopped moving instantly. Rain hammered against the windows while machines beeped softly between them. Elena stared toward the ceiling. I begged you today. Adrian's throat tightened. You remember? She whispered. I called you crying, and begged you to tell me the rumors were fake. He remembered every second. He'd been sitting beside Vanessa intentionally in public because Marcus's spies were watching. And he chose silence. Because he thought protecting Elena meant letting her hate him temporarily. I'm sorry, he whispered. Elena laughed weakly. Sorry. Such a tiny word for so much destruction. I thought our baby died tonight. Adrian's eyes filled instantly. I was alone, she continued quietly. I kept calling you while blood was everywhere. He physically flinched. Every sentence was another knife. I tried to reach you, she whispered. But pictures of you with her were already online. Adrian finally stepped closer. Lena, listen to me. None of it was real. She turned slowly toward him. And for the first time, anger appeared inside her exhausted eyes. You expect me to believe that? Yes. After months? Yes. After humiliating me publicly? It was to protect you. She stared at him in disbelief. Then tears finally slid down her face. Not loud. Not dramatic. Which somehow hurt even more. You should have trusted me enough to tell me the truth. Adrian had no answer. Because she was right. Completely right. He sank slowly into the chair beside her bed, looking suddenly less like a billionaire and more like a broken man drowning in regret. When I was 13, Elena whispered, my father cheated on my mother. I watched her destroy herself believing she wasn't enough. Adrian listened silently. I swore I'd never become that woman. Her voice cracked. But tonight I did. You are nothing like her. I begged for your love. You never had to beg. But I did. That sentence nearly broke him completely. Adrian leaned forward, hands shaking for the first time anyone had ever seen. Lena, every terrible thing you saw was part of an investigation against Marcus. I thought if you knew, you'd become a target. You decided that alone. Yes. You let me suffer alone. His silence answered everything. Elena closed her eyes. I needed my husband tonight. Adrian looked like he'd been sentenced to death. Because despite all his power, despite the money, influence, private jets, politicians, companies, he couldn't undo the damage inside this room. And he finally understood something horrifying. He almost protected his wife straight into losing her forever. Morning sunlight slowly began bleeding into the sky. Elena eventually fell asleep from exhaustion. But Adrian remained beside her bed unmoving for hours. At noon, doctors entered nervously. Mr. Vale, your board members are demanding emergency meetings. The Marcus scandal is exploding internationally. Adrian never looked away from Elena. Cancel everything. Sir, the stock market. I said cancel everything. The doctors exchanged stunned looks. Because Adrian Vale had once attended billion-dollar meetings while recovering from gunshot wounds. Nothing stopped him from work. Until now. 3 days later, the internet exploded again. But this time the headlines changed. Billionaire CEO transfers entire company control to pregnant wife. Adrian Vale steps down indefinitely. Marcus Whitmore confesses to corporate crimes. And then came the most shocking moment of all. Hundreds of reporters gathered outside the hospital after rumors spread Adrian would speak publicly. When he finally appeared, cameras erupted instantly. But nobody expected what happened next. Adrian walked directly to the podium. Then knelt. Right there in front of every camera in the country. Gasps exploded everywhere. The billionaire lowered his head and spoke into the microphones. I failed my wife. Silence consumed the crowd. I thought protecting her meant carrying everything alone. Instead, I became the reason she suffered. Reporters stared in shock. Because powerful men like Adrian never apologized publicly. Never. His voice roughened. Elena Vale is the strongest person I know. And if she chooses never to forgive me, I will still spend the rest of my life protecting her and our child. Inside the hospital room upstairs, Elena watched the live broadcast silently. A nurse beside her whispered, "He loves you very much." Elena didn't answer immediately. She simply watched the man who once terrified entire industries kneeling publicly with tears in his eyes. And for the first time since that horrible night, her heart cracked open just a little. But fate wasn't finished with them yet. Because at that exact moment, downstairs in the underground parking garage, one surviving ally of Marcus Whitmore, loaded a pistol and headed toward Elena's room.